Welcome to this week's video. This week we're going to be going from Eyemouth across to Arbroath and from Arbroath up to Peterhead. The journey from Eyemouth to Arbroath, I wouldn't video much of it. It was across the Firth of Forth coming out from Edinburgh, and there was the firing range, and it just had blocks of, they look like old ships and old tankers that obviously were used for targeting practice. And other than that, it was just very blue and very rolly, and we just had seabirds and seals and the rest of it to follow us across. We had the wind farm, but that was about it. It was quite a non-eventful passage from Eyemouth to Arbroath, and we knew we were only going to stay in Arbroath for one night, same as we did in Amble, and set off the next day. But we did manage to get in Smokies, Arbroath Smokies, and I thoroughly recommend going and getting them if you ever drop in. The trip across, in fact, the whole going from Eyemouth to Arbroath up to Peterhead, we had the wind directly behind us and quite faint. It wasn't strong enough really to keep us going from behind, and we have no spinnaker, we have no spinnaker pole or anything. So with the wind coming straight from behind you, it's actually quite tricky. So we did have the motor on most of the time. I think we put the sails up going across to Arbroath, but Arbroath to Peterhead we didn't. It was a beautiful day, but that trip to Arbroath was very quiet. But then once we got from Arbroath to Peterhead, that was a long day. That was 13 hours. We did have a treat at that point as well, as we were going up to Peterhead. I was actually down below. I was having a bit of a rest because I knew it was going to be a long day. And Michelle and my husband Mark both saw minke whale really close. And the second time it came up, Michelle actually managed to get a couple of photographs, so I've included those as well. Going up from Eyemouth up to Peterhead, where you get a lot of time for just being in the sea, not having much to see apart from the sea animals and thinking more about them. We saw more puffins and gannets and guillemots and things like that. Nothing. I didn't manage to get any good photographs or anything, but watching the puffins trying to take off and diving down when they were near, and they're just such comical little birds. So it was the puffins that I really got in touch with and wanted to do a painting of, which you'll see at the end. So here we go, this week's video. The clowns of the sea are the puffins. So this week we're going to be going from Eyemouth to Arbroath. Eyemouth, across past Edinburgh and into Arbroath. The strange thing about this place is this area here, which is like a military ground, a firing practice area. Well, we saw lots of strange things, and we have to look out for submarines. So straight across there, and our next route is from Arbroath up to Peterhead. Arbroath, up to Peterhead. We left Eyemouth Harbour through the small tunnel-like entrance, and again we headed left. There was hardly any wind on the trip, and it was due to drop further as the day went on. By the time we got to Arbroath in the evening, it was really quiet. it was a lovely evening and it was perfect for eating smokies in the cockpit. The next day was bright and sunny and the forecast was light winds. At this point we were dodging storms and high pressures and weather fronts that were sweeping across the country day by day. It was on this trip I decided to do the puffin painting, just to make clear which of us was the actual clowns of the sea. These are the photos Michelle managed to get of the minke whales. I did see a minke whale earlier, but not this close. And so we arrived at Peterhead, just as the sun was setting. After 13 hours, we were knackered. Time to paint some puffins. Started off just by sketching out the puffins. You can see here. If I come out a bit, what you may notice is there's like a double shadow of a puffin round about here. That's because the puffin was in the wrong place. It was too far to the left. That's why I've drawn it out first before I start painting, because in this composition the placement of the puffins and how they're interacting makes the negative shapes behind, and they're just as important in the composition as the actual puffins themselves, so I wanted them to be in exactly the right place. I'm just gonna block in the tones so I can work out where I'm gonna put stuff. So the reason I've done this particular painting of the puffins is the partnerships that puffins form. They actually find a partner for life, and I thought that was lovely. I'm using that, and then they're known as the clowns of the sea, so playing on that idea of clowns as well. And they always look like quite sad clowns to me, not happy clowns, so I'm going with the old Pierrot style of clown. Black and white with hints of orange. At the moment I'm just working out where the darkest bits are going to be and the lightest bits, and get patterns and flows and things like that within the painting. The other thing about puffins is a group of puffins, sometimes when you have groups of animals, they've got a different name for it, and two examples of a group of puffins is an improbability of puffins. I love that one. And a circus of puffins. I love that one as well. So I thought they're just brilliant. They're just so funny. We saw so many of them while we were sailing round. I thought, nah, I've got to do puffins. They're just amazing birds. I had like a streamer that was going to be like a fishing line or something with little lines hanging off it. I'm going to see if it needs it at the end, and if it does I'll put it in, if it doesn't I won't. I'm going to have them stood on balls. That's their circus trick. And that's going to be dark water. That the orange of the feet will step out into. So orange feet, orange on the faces. We'll see, I might need that orange of the fishing lure going through, fishing lures going through. Just to bring it together. We shall see, we shall see. I want the lightest bits to be on the faces and the thing. And I definitely want to include the feet because they're a very important part of the puffin, is the bright orange feet. This is where I'm up to at the pub with the puffins at the moment. I've put the colour on, got the water in the background, and I think I'm definitely going to stick with just 3 bits of orange and then the rest in supposedly black and white. There is no black and white in, well, there's plenty of white, but there is no black in there, but you know what I mean. So now it's just building up the layers and refining the colours and adding depth to them, working on the faces, working on the hats. So that's the puffins painted. Next week it's probably going to be the last painting to do with the first leg of the trip, where we managed to get into Inverness. And we'll stop off at a couple of places on the way. So thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.